Hi friends, this is Deep Basu and welcome to my channel Think Deep. I'm back again and I'm going to review the film What Are the Odds. This is the latest film on Netflix. It's an Indian film and I guess this released on 20th May. I'm sure most of you have already watched it. But the reason I did not watch it, I usually watch all films released, especially Indian films, Bollywood films released and produced by Netflix. The main reason, with a heavy heart, let me explain to you guys that I have lost faith in Abhay Deol. Trust me, he was one of my favorite actors. I used to follow all his work, but after watching his repeated disasters consecutively, like Nanu Ki Janu, Chopstick, and even the previous work, I stopped watching films done by Abhay Deol or produced by Abhay Deol. I'm really sorry. I'm saying with a heavy heart. And trust me, he was one of my favorite actors. So that's one reason I did not watch this movie, What Are the Odds? Because this movie has been produced by Abhay Deol and he's acting in it. And I'm really sorry about that. But today one of my friends recommended this film and she told me to watch it at least once. So being a film buff, I said let me watch it and kya hoga? I'll not die. But trust me, I was disappointed once again, and Netflix once again has produced a disaster, a work of mediocrity. And trust me, the movie lives up to its name. It's an odd film. And coming back to the story, basically the story talks about two teenagers played brilliantly by Yashaswini and Karanveer Malhotra. So the movie begins introducing us to Vivek, played by Yashaswini, and Karanveer Malhotra's name was Ashwin. So the movie begins introducing us to Vivek and Ashwin, both are poles apart. And Vivek, as a girl, she basically is a rebel. She's facing a lot of problems in her life, a lot of issues in her life. She's basically, filled with insecurities. She's a very talented girl, but she is kind of perplexed and confused about life. She doesn't really know what she wants. So on the day of her examination, she decides to, cancel a hall pass. She basically, there's a lot of crowd of students. She basically, very conveniently, that's one thing I had a problem. She sneaks out her hall pass and she cancels it. So naturally, she is not allowed to take her examination. And while doing that, while sneaking out her hall pass, she also sneaks out accidentally the hall pass of Ashwin, who happens to be the head boy of the school. And naturally, even he is not allowed to take the exam. So both of them are stranded. And Ashwin and Vivek decide to go on an adventure. Both are poles apart. Both are very different from each other. Both are quite unlikely a pair. And they decide to go on a long journey and adventure. And that's what the story is all about, and what they face. They get to know about life, and it's a whimsical journey. So that's, as a one-liner, that's the story. But the movie has a lot of flaws, my friends. Basically, the director wanted to basically create a whimsical fantasy world, but somehow the director is unable to commit herself or the script to at least one world. So if you see the movie, you are unable to connect. As a viewer, I was unable to connect to any character or any situation of the film. The situations are so bizarre. The structure is very, very disjointed. Somewhere you can see a goldfish talking, you can see a guy suddenly you see a guy trying to commit suicide, but actually he is trying to pee by climbing up the ceiling. So I'm unable to connect to the bizarre situation. Basically, the movie wants to, the movie wants to basically project itself as a whimsical fantasy film. But somehow it doesn't quite, lives up to this concept. Like Jagga Jasus was kind of fantasy, whimsical world. Mr. Anurag Basu somehow justifies that. But this movie fails to do that. Like initially when I was watching the film, I was thinking it's a fantasy film. Acha, goldfish is talking. Acha, this guy is wearing is covered with a lot of leaves. Something odd. But somehow it doesn't convince me. Even the situations are so bizarre, it doesn't convince me. I'm unable to relate to the characters. At least if the director or the writing, the script was committed to at least one aspect, whimsical or reality, it would have justified the concept of the film. Overall, the one-liner of the story is quite ambitious. It had ambition. It could have been done in a very good way. It could have been a good black comedy. But trust me, my friends, it fails to justify any of it. The characters are not justified. The story plot is not justified. And Abhay Deol plays a 40-year-old rock star. And why does he enter the script? I don't know. He and the character Vivek Vivek seems to be in love with this rock star, 40-year-old good-looking rock star. But I think that relationship had potential. They could have been slightly more drama, a good situation, good moments, little bit more, quite meaningful. The director could have, somewhat of meaningful situation with that love story. But somewhat the love story between Vivek and the rock star Abhay Deol's character doesn't quite. It's not well etched out. Somewhat I feel. I was quite inquisitive to know their love story, but it's not well etched out. And even throughout the film, Vivek's and Ashwin's character are odd. Means they are poles apart, but somehow through the journey, I don't see them quite poles apart. They are doing the same thing. They are agreeing to the same things. I thought there'll be a lot of friction. There'll be, when two things are poles apart. You've seen many films. When two characters are poles apart, you can see that happening. You can always see, अरे ये लोग का प्यार हो जाए, कुछ तो हो जाए. Yes, they are poles apart. अरे opposites attract. But somehow the journey I couldn't see Vivek's and Ashwin's character poles apart. Just the only difference was he was a head boy, and she was not. She was very different. And one flaw is that Ashwin character, he's a head boy. He's a good student, and he wants to take up a scholarship, go abroad and study. He seems to be ambitious, but when his hall pass is misplaced, which he had applied 2 months ago, he's so cool about it. He agrees to go for a long adventure. Bhai, if I am that ambitious guy, Ashwin, if my hall pass is misplaced, I'll leave no stones unturned. I'll go to the administrator, I'll go to the manager, I'll go to the principal, I'll go to the dean, I'll make sure my hall pass is restored. This guy towards the end says, "Arey bhai, mera to scholarship hai. You lost my hall pass. This is not fair. Arey baba, you went for a long adventure. You shouldn't have gone now. You should have restored your hall pass. You should have done something." So all these things I was not very convinced. On one hand, this is an ambitious guy. He regrets not taking an exam, but he goes for a long adventure just like that with this girl who he doesn't even know that well. So all these aspects of the film is so unconvincing. And by the way, the creative producers of the film are Shimit Amin, the great director Shimit Amin, and Dhruv Sehgal. Little Things. I don't know what goes wrong. Yeah, what goes wrong? Netflix is producing the film. Two big creative directors are involved in the film. So what goes wrong? What are the odds? So what are the odds? Is that I'll never watch a film they like this again. I'm really sorry, Abhay Deol. I'm really very sorry. I want to apologize. I'm really disappointed once again. I was disappointed by watching your chopsticks. I'm also disappointed once again watching this. What are the odds? And Megha Ramaswamy, you're a great writer, but somewhat I feel I couldn't as a person connect to it. And I'm sure all of you must have watched it, will agree with me because the reviews are already out and reviews are not very favorable to the film. And towards the end, I couldn't understand Vivek's family. Where is Vivek's father? What really happens? Was he a real cross-dresser? And she just mentions about her mother just one line. That she's an air hostess. I really wanted to know about Vivek's character and her family background. Why is she such a rebel? Why is she so confused? Like in Dear Zindagi, what's her name? Alia Bhatt's character, why is she so confused and she's going through a depression, definitely was well justified. Here, why is she behaving like this, like a prick? I don't know. If a person doesn't want to take examination, no one does anything. And nothing else to say, yaar. This is basically the premise and I'm not very happy. So watch it if you guys think or don't agree with me, do watch it and please share your feedback. I would love to know your feedback. And this movie, What Are the Odds, doesn't work for me. Performances is good. Music, background score, art direction, costumes are really good. And everything is in sync. But somehow the story, the characters, everything is so disjointed. And so that's What Are the Odds, the review of What Are the Odds. So guys, please watch it and do get back to me if I missed out any points. And Netflix, please come back with some good, great content. Please come back with some good content. Oof, I'm getting breathless now. Anyway guys, I sign up. And so I watched the movie. I thought of talking about the film like I always do. So do subscribe to my channel, Think Deep Basu on YouTube. I'll be back again soon. So guys, bye. So I don't recommend this film. Watch it at your own risk.